being that it is Monday morning, and last time I checked, the pandemic has not come to an end.
I think it's still...
We didn't miss that, did we?
No, it's still happening.
I mean, we watched a lot of football and didn't pay attention to other things. I'd hate to have missed that, but no, it appears it's still with us. And speaking of still being with us, our good friend Dr. Dennis Norem from Mercy Health is still with us. He's been joining us every Monday throughout the pandemic, dispensing just wonderful advice and answering our questions and helping us get a better hold on things. Dr. Norem, good morning.
Good morning to you guys.
How's everything going with you this morning?
Things are going well so far.
So far, yeah. Lots of stuff to talk about when it comes to COVID this morning. I see one headline flashing up. California officials are calling for a pause on Moderna's vaccine lot after a possible allergic reaction. Fewer than 10 individuals in the state did have an allergic reaction, but they had it all over the course of 24 hours. And now you've got the state epidemiologist out there recommending a pause in the distribution of the specific lot that they have out in California of Moderna's vaccine. Thoughts?
Well, I think that's a reasonable thing. They're only talking about a lot. And I think what that would indicate that there'd be some concern that maybe there was some kind of minor contaminant or something, in that one specific lot. I do not know how many vaccines are in that lot, but typically it probably is in the thousands. And in the terms of the big picture, that's not a significant number. I think overall, however, I saw a number out of the 2 million doses that we've administered in this country, there's only been less than 30 reactions in terms of the allergy reactions. So I think overall the safety numbers are really impressive.
And
certainly it needs to be looked into.
The numbers here, 330, more than 330 doses from the lot have already been distributed to the state through 287 providers. Of those 330,000 doses that have been distributed, fewer than 10 people appear to be experiencing a possible severe allergic reaction during the standard observation period.
Yeah, that's a concern, but I don't think it's enough that any of us should be concerned yet that we're having problems with the vaccine. In the big picture, obviously, moving forward, this is something that everybody's monitoring very closely.
The term allergic reaction, very, very nebulous. I mean, I have an allergic reaction if I get too close to a cat. I know that's not what we're talking about here, but two things. How severe are these, quote unquote, severe allergic reactions? And why do we not know what's causing the allergic reaction? I thought, initially it was, if you're having a problem with bee stings or something like that, don't do this. Like, do we just not figured out what is causing the allergic reactions in some of these vaccines?
I don't think they've narrowed it down to what specific substance in the vaccine. There was one thought that could be one of the preservatives, actually, that people are reacting to. As you well know, you can have an allergic reaction to almost anything. The body's hyperimmune response to a specific antigen. I mean, we're all familiar with bee stings and peanuts and reactions to certain medications, which are very unpredictable. And again, I'd like to reassure people that, overall in the big picture, there really has been minimal in terms of reactions to these two vaccines that we are currently using. But again, it's something that has to be looked into, and possibly they could isolate the particular substance so people would know going forward that that's the particular specific substance that they're allergic to.
Do you think they'll figure it out sooner than later what people are allergic to?
I think so. Again, there haven't been enough reactions to really get a good picture as the vaccine becomes more widespread and they can monitor a little more and study a few more people. I'm confident they'll figure out what the specific substance that people are reacting to.
And, I'm looking at a piece this morning saying Great Britain has vowed to give all adults at least the first shot of the virus, of the vaccine rather, by September. That's their overall goal. I have not seen other countries, publish a finish line date.
Yeah, I don't think we have a finish line date. I think we're a little discouraged in that, number one, things are moving more slowly than we thought, and number two, this information that came up that there aren't the reserved doses that we thought we had. So things are moving obviously more slowly than anyone had hoped.
I'm sure you don't have the exact answer to this, but you're more well-versed in this than we are. Where in the supply chain are things being held up to getting vaccines to hospitals?
I think it's probably at all levels of the supply chain. I think manufacturing is behind. We heard about that a few weeks ago, that some of the manufacturing targets are not going to be met. I think the distribution has not been as good as it should have been. And then what seems to have happened is that there are problems with distribution in terms of some places have vaccine and they can't get their clinics together to get it out. Other places have clinics waiting to get vaccines. So there's this, irregular distribution, and that gets back to the fact that we didn't have a good plan, I don't think, up front in place to really get the vaccine distributed and in people's arms. There's just too many places where things have been held up.
Do you guys know when your next batch is coming in?
No, we do not. I asked my staff at work because there were a couple people in my office area who did not get the vaccine the first time around. So I asked them, I said, hey, when are you guys told you're going to get it? And they do not know. We're waiting. So we're in a situation where we have workers and people that are ready to go, and we certainly have a system where we can easily give it, but we're waiting on vaccine.
Wow, that's that's I can see where that could start to get temperatures rising a little bit, because it sure makes it hard to plan outwardly, not knowing when the next thing's coming in, like any other business. When are you going to have more bread on your shelves? Well, we really don't know when our next supply is going to happen. When are you going to have more gas in your tank? So we don't know when that truck's showing up. You guys are kind of in that same boat.
Yes, we are, and it's. I guess the other frustration I've seen, and I might as well throw this out, is my wife is waiting for her vaccine. She's not 65, but she's a little bit higher risk. And she follows people on Facebook and follows the news and things, and she finds there are people who are jumping ahead in line. Somehow they've been able to finagle a vaccine, and that's been very discouraging. And again, that gets back to, we just should have had a better, tighter, more structured way that we could get this vaccine out and get people vaccinated.
And there's still so many different question marks on it as well. One we were talking about just a little bit ago is Governor Pritzker has decided to prioritize prison inmates in the second round of vaccinations. First doses went to healthcare workers on the front line. Sick and elderly in long-term care facilities were next. Well, the modified plan now will move prisoners up in line ahead of adults with heart conditions, COPD, kidney failure, and cancer, not to mention workers in phase 2 at restaurants, gyms, factories, hair and nail salons, and other industries with workers who face increased risk of exposure.
I know that generated a lot of controversy and a lot of comments from different people and politicians. I mean, I understand why they want to do that. Prisons and jails are a hotbed of breakouts with COVID, and the difficulty of caring for prisoners creates a huge strain on the healthcare system. You can imagine if you have a prison and you have several inmates, and you could have up to 100 inmates out of a prison, how do you get those people to a hospital and take care of them? So even though it sounds like we should keep them lower on the priority scale, I really think that because of them being in close contact in institutional, it probably makes sense to move them up.
The mutations of the coronavirus. We know we had the one that was in the UK about I think 2 weeks ago. There's some news stories are saying there's another mutation coming our way, or it was already out there. I think Ohio was where it was spotted. Where are we at with mutations?
Well, I think that mutation, the one in England, is I think I saw it here in Illinois. I don't know if they've identified that specific mutation, but as we've talked about viruses, they mutate. And we're going to see more mutations as this thing continues. I see it's been a year now since our first documented case in the United States, so viruses are pretty crafty, and they'll continue to mutate. Fortunately, so far, there's no evidence that those mutated viruses are any less affected by the vaccine. They're just more contagious, which makes it a little more difficult to manage, the overall picture. But again, they seem to be susceptible to the vaccine. So far, we're okay with that.
So it's one of those things that, okay, it may have mutated, but it didn't mutate beyond the powers that the vaccine has to get it curtailed, I guess.
Yes, that's what we know so far. Certainly the companies, Pfizer, Moderna, the other companies are trying to look at that very quickly to see if there's any evidence that they are more resistant to the vaccines. I don't think we have the final word in yet, but so far it looks like we're okay.
All right. Anything else? Anything new popping up that you wanted to get to today?
No, I think the only other thing I'd like to say, I heard Dr. Perryman's comment about children. I thought that was very informative, and the kids are a big concern. Again, I don't see the time frame yet for when we're going to have vaccine for kids, and that's a huge concern if we're going to get kids back in school.
Yeah, is that a bridge that you think will eventually cross? Is vaccinating the under 16 population?
Yes, I think it's just a matter of time in terms of doing the studies. They're doing studies now. I don't expect there to be any big problem. It's just a matter of getting the studies done and getting the approval so that we can get the kids vaccinated.
And is the COVID vaccination, is this something that's going to be sticking with us for a while? I mean, we still do smallpox vaccinations. Is this going to be part of booster shots and whatnot in the near future?
Well, I think it is. I think Moderna is looking already at recommending or studying a booster shot. I think they're talking about a 6-month booster shot to see if we can extend the immunity. But I'm pretty sure the coronavirus is going to be with us. As we've kind of said in the past, this is probably going to be like the way we have to deal with flu year in and year out. We will have to vaccinate. The vaccines may change slightly. The bug will change slightly. But I think coronavirus is going to be with us for quite a while. We just don't know how long, but I'm sure it's going to be with us.
Dr. Norem, before we let you go, one thing that I'm reading about, and that maybe a word of advice for people a little on the older side of the population. I'm reading that online signups are complicating the rollout for some older people. You've got senior citizens scrambling to figure out how to get signed up online to get their shots. States and counties are asking people to make appointments online, but glitchy websites and overwhelmed phone lines and a patchwork of changing rules and all that are causing a problem for people who are less tech savvy. Any word of advice for them?
Try to get somebody to help you. I know Winnebago County has their website up and running, and I understand Boone County just got theirs going. But it's not a simple, you click on one screen and there it is. So I think you're going to have probably have somebody help. So if you've got somebody in the family that can help you out with tech savvy, great. But sign up.
And if you yourself are tech savvy and you know a senior who might use that help, get in touch with them. Offer up your services. See if you can't make things a little more streamlined for them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great suggestion.
Well, I think we should probably cap it then on a fine suggestion. A lot of vaccine questions, a lot of wondering about how the lineups are going and all that. And Dr. Norem, we appreciate as always you shedding the light on some of this stuff for us. We'll look forward to getting together again next week, and we'll tackle more of this COVID-19 stuff.
I will certainly be here and see you guys next week.
Thank you very much. That's Dr. Dennis Norem from Mercy Health.